All right. What is up, everybody? It is another day, another time, another night for a Gaming Academy session with your headmaster here, GQAzndood of Gamer Quotient. And I am here tonight to introduce you episode 47 of this podcast. So if you guys are out there on the interwebs joining us for the first time today, welcome. You guys are always welcome here to hang out, come chat with us about the stuff we all love the most. But if you have been here ever since episode 1, that is fantastic. And I have a treat for you guys in 3 more episodes. In episode 50, we'll show you something that I've been working on since launch. So, but other than that, welcome back, students, to another session of the Gaming Academy, where we level up your gamer quotient one class at a time. That's right. You're here to learn about video games and get educated. I'm your headmaster, GQAzndood, and tonight we're locking in on another packed syllabus. First up, we're diving into this week in gaming history as always, revisiting milestone classics like Mega Man Legends, actually, Tenchu Stealth Assassins, the first one, and Metal Gear Solid. Now, these are games that have shaped genres, defining generations, and still inspire devs today. And after that, we'll be doing a little bit of quick bites here. We'll unpack this week's hottest stories, especially Hollow Knight Silksong finally has a release date. Gamescom 2025 dropped a truckload of reveals. The Switch 2 continues dominating, and The Witcher 4 takes a bold new direction. And this fall's release lineup might just drain your entire XP bar, aka your wallet. So finally, we'll close tonight with another final boss, where tonight's lesson is about persistence, respawning, and retrying. Because in both gaming and life, it's not about avoiding failure. It's about what you do after you fall. And we talked about this on the podcast before, and we'll continue to talk about it. And as you know, if you have seen the show before, I don't do this alone. I have my incredible crew over here of mischief. Think of the Gaming Academy as like the ship, of what do you call this? The Bebop. Speaking of Bebop, I know I'll bring the pro in here, Mr. Nick. What's up, man? Oh, you're muted, sir. No audio?
Let's try again.
There you go. We got you.
It's not muted. Oh, well. Hey, what's going on?
All right. You're here. Welcome.
I'm back.
Yeah. Was that accurate? Was the ship called the Bebop?
It was.
And Cowboy Bebop? Okay.
Yes, it was. That was the name of the ship.
All right. Just making sure, because it's been a while.
Bonus points if you can remember the name of all the fighter ships that they had.
I
All
can't
their own
remember
individual
one.
ones.
Can't remember one.
You can remember Spikes at least. Come on now.
I don't.
Swordfish
I don't.
too. Come on, man.
Nope. I don't. Nope.
Okay. Well, at least you recognize the Bebop. That's good enough.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe I got a little help from the title.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? But you did guess it was the ship at least, so you did narrow it down.
Yeah, it's kind of like what is it? Metroid is Metroid the character of Metroid. Yeah, stuff like that. Speaking of main character energy, let's bring in all Ace over here and say what's up.
How's it going, everybody? Glad to see you back here for another week.
Yeah.
Man, it's between Gamescom and just like the release schedule for not just games but expansions that's coming up this month and for the rest of the year. This last quarter, 25 is gonna be kind of wild.
It's me crazy. What's up, Jagos? Jagos says howdy, folks.
Howdy.
Add a little twang in that message.
Yeah, he did have a little bit of.
Here he goes. He's listing them tails, pragmata. He's ready to go. He's ready to rock and roll, man.
Speaking of ready to go, do you remember, Ace, any of the notable ships from Cowboy Bebop? Now that we have you here.
Well, two big ones I can remember right offhand were Bebop itself and, of course, the Swordfish too. I mean,
okay,
come on. That thing is like a fighter jet and a sports car.
All right. First of all, what was the ship's name in Outlaw Star?
The Outlaw Star.
That was a trick question. Let's be real. I don't remember it either. So, anyway, things I do remember are the games we'll be talking about tonight in This Week in Gaming History. But before we get into that, I'm looking at the news and I'm like, wow, there's a lot going on. Happy to hear that Hollow Knight Silksong finally is real, right? I'm shocked that the Switch 2 still dominates hardware because of all I've heard is really bad press was about on the Switch 2 lately. And yeah, this fall is looking pretty crazy. Even though there's no Phantom Blade
and there's no GTA 6.
No GTA 6. I think that's for the best. But here's the awesome thing.
Look, listen, the main game that I was worried about this fall is dropping later this week, so I'm good.
The fact that people are devs are not maybe I can maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I guess I heard that some devs are pushing their timetables back because of Silksong coming out, and I was like, is this the indie version of GTA 6?
No, I have seen a couple of tidbits like that.
Yeah, but I think I just thought it was cute that like this after like 7 years, this game's finally coming out, and people are like, oh my. We gotta take our games back because everyone's gonna be playing Silksong, right? So.
I would say the closest thing to it being like GTA 6 is just that dev cycle time.
yeah.
There's certainly a lot of hype about it, but it's not like the wide mass market appeal I feel that some of these other games have.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly like one that's been kind of sought after. It kind of felt like a little bit more of like a cult classic almost. It kind of got the rumblings in the like the indie scene, and more people started playing it. I know that for me at least, I'm not picking it up, but that's just because I wasn't really into the series. Not that it's bad or anything, but it's definitely one of those. Not my thing.
Yeah. As Jago said, Hollow Knight shot up huge in the last week, though. Yeah, especially when Maximilian was playing it. You know, I follow Maximilian. I've been following him since before when he was doing Call of Duty videos. Right, this was so long ago. Yeah, I think he also had the first recorded Modern Warfare 2 nuke on YouTube, like recorded. So that was pretty impressive for Max. But like he used to be a Call of Duty channel and a Third Strike channel. He wasn't like completely just fighting games.
And I was just watching for Third Strike.
Oh yeah, see exactly right. But now he's kind of like he's the voice when it comes to fighting games. So if he plays something out of his like usual cycle of fighting games, like it's people like listen, people pay attention. So the fact that he put Hollow Knight on his radar, I think that really not put Hollow Knight on the map, but added more eyeballs to.
Oh, certainly, that's why so many companies want to leverage influencers so much, and why you see on like the game dev subreddit and indie devs all the time talking about trying to get content creators to try their games and like how difficult it can be, but how worthwhile it can be at the same time. There's always hits or misses. I mean, you'll see a couple stories, recent ones that I saw on the subreddit, just like, hey, I got this content creator to play it. They gave it decent reviews, got a bunch of like like thousands of views on it, but wish lists only like 10. You know, sometimes it just doesn't resonate. But something like this, like you said, it's been in development for 7 years. People have been looking for it. So
Well,
get tons
they've
of
been
eyes
wanting it
on
for a
it,
while.
and more
Yeah.
people. Just like Andre, hey, how's it going, bud? In chat is talking about Onimusha gameplay, seeing more of that. He's less worried. So a game like this, getting that kind of visibility that looks as good as it does, it's a follow up to kind of a cult classic gone gold, essentially. Yeah, man, it's gonna blow up. Absolutely.
No,
I mean, look,
I'm
we
excited
saw
for it.
Battlefield 2 blow up again, or Battlefront 2, sorry, blow up
Battlefront 2,
again.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's so cool. Like there's something about it that like the reinvigoration of like these dead games that at the time weren't like people weren't ready for. Like maybe wishful thinking. What if Evolve just comes back? I'm just saying. That'd be crazy.
Well, we know it's not, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Randomly Evolve 2.
I did see some kind of like rumors and news that one of the original creators of Left 4 Dead is creating a new game that's trying to recapture the love of the co-op from that series. So we may potentially see something down the line that's not Back for Blood that kind of reinvigorates that. Because I really want to do a community day of playing Left 4 Dead 2 again. It's been a long time since I played it. So much fun to play it, especially on stream with people that are running around with it, because that game can be so chaotic. It's still so much fun, even this dated.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember our playthrough. I had a good time with the old game too, so I can only imagine the new stuff. So, yeah, maybe we can do a study session with Back for Blood if anybody's down. So that'd be kind of fun, like a community night. But yeah, with that said, guys, anything else before we get going here? We'll take a blast from the past.
Let's get to it, man.
No, I'm just a sleepy boy.
I'm the same. It's getting colder.
Yeah, it's getting colder. I was also gone last week for a wedding, which with our baby on the plane was an adventure. And then I immediately was back to work Monday. So apologize. Energy's a little off. I haven't stopped since then.
Well, welcome back, man. Good to have you, buddy. With that said, everything else is history.
On just like not stop.
Ace, what'd you do yesterday? You work?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get to it.
Working in.
It just still hits good. It's still good. Still good. All right. Well, this segment is called This Week in Gaming History, where we chat about a variety of different games released. Guess when? Historical from August 31st to August 6th. We usually cover the whole week. So if there's any games on this list while we have you here, please mention it in the chat. Tell us your favorite memory about it. Tell us how you feel. Tell us how you really feel about the games we're chatting. So tonight, we're going to start off on August 31st with an oldie and a goodie, and hopefully this one also gets a remaster. Is whoopam Dino Crisis on the PlayStation back in 1999. Also included a Resident Evil 3 Nemesis demo disc. Remember those when you used to get demo disc with your games? So yes. This one was it. So speaking of Max playing games, he actually just played this like a few months ago. And because the whole hype of like remastering all the Resident Evils, and I'm gonna be real with you, like it was kind of boring to watch. I never knew there were so much more puzzles in Resident Evil. So it's been a while. I haven't played Dino Crisis 2, but it's just like watching Max play this. I was like, man, there's like more puzzles in this than action and horror. So maybe that can be something that they can change down the road or kind of mix things up. So, what do you guys' thoughts on the Dino Crisis series?
Played a little bit of the first one. Haven't really touched 2, but again, the puzzles in the first one were kind of my stumbling block because around that time I was also going back and playing stuff like Xenogears, Great Fencer Musashi, Final Fantasy VIII. Mm-hmm. And a whole hell of a lot of Street Fighter EX.
Yeah, I mean, like 1999 was a great year for Capcom for like the games that they were releasing. They were just releasing back on the PlayStation. Matter of fact, this list right here has a bunch of them on the PlayStation. Not necessarily Capcom, but just on the PlayStation in general.
Yeah.
You have that up, Nick? I'll put it up here. So Is that a costume, or is that a prototype? It looks like a Lara Croft costume for a second. But yeah, it has the same appeal as like the 2, 3. That's probably why they put the RE3 Nemesis demo disc in here. Because if you like Resident Evil, you'll probably like this. It's with dinosaurs, but the pacing of the game is really off. Like your progress gets hindered a lot by all these like puzzles you got to do, and mix around, right? And then you're just like, I just want to shoot dinosaurs, but like it's just so much slower than the Resident Evil games, right? I think they really wanted, for some reason, they just cranked up the puzzle like slider on their design portion of this, more so than ever before. But if you guys haven't played it, the difference with this and Resident Evil is that the dinosaurs, I think, respawn, and they also follow you from room to room, depending on the certain rooms. So that remake that they had in the GameCube, where some of the zombies actually chased you to another room, it actually probably came from this game, because some of the dinosaurs did know how to open doors and come to other rooms, so which is super scary if you think about it, like very Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the tech that was introduced in Resident Evil 3 was, stuff that they had basically brought over from 2 and polished for Dino Crisis.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, and we were just talking about, like, I'm playing Spider-Man right now, and I was looking at the budget of Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 2 had like triple the budget, and I was like, why does the budget got to be tripled when they already have all the assets already? So I'm missing something here. So it's also a different era, different time. So to me, if I wouldn't be surprised if they have used from all the other Resident Evil to make this. My suspicion is that's how they got RE3 remake released so fast, is because they use all the assets from 2 to just make technically an expansion of 2 into 3, right? Because the time difference when 2 remake was made versus 3 remake was made was like not even half the length. It was so much faster. It was like within a year or 2, I think. And I was like, wow, that was really quick. How did they do that? But then you realize they've already made the game before, so they're just hopefully. I'm not so sure. Yeah, I'm not a pro, but I do play one on TV. All right, some other games that were released on the PlayStation. I'll actually just this day. Beyond the Beyond on the PlayStation in 1996. That was an awesome one, from what I remember. Nights into Dreams, if you own a Saturn, also came out in 1996. My personal favorite on this list, Nuclear Strike, on 1997. So if you ever played Desert Strike or Jungle Strike, Nuclear Strike was like the one where I think it was in Russia. No, that's Soviet Strike. This one was in the U.S., I think. They even had one called Urban Strike. So the Strike series was a thing back in the 90s. That's pretty crazy. Also, another Mega Man banger, Mega Man Legends on the PlayStation came out in Tenchu Stealth Assassins on the PlayStation in 1998. Shadow Man for Blue Riot Bot in the chat. He loves Shadow Man. N64, PC, PlayStation in 1999. Soul the Samurai on the PlayStation in 1999. Man, see all these PlayStation games? 1999 was their year. Ragnarok Online also came out on the PC in 2002. I partook in that as well. That was a really fun game to play for a while.
I played
Metroid.
The second one.
Did you?
Yeah.
It was just so grindy from what I remember. I don't remember the second one at all.
It still is kind of notorious.
It still is? Okay.
Yeah. The second one I remember like went a little more 3D and it had that kind of like anime charm to it. I definitely played it because I was like, that was surfing, because the second one came out a little bit later. When I was surfing around for anything but WoW, when I was trying to find like WoW alternatives, I gave that one a shot. It was fun for what it was. Like I remember the classes being decent and playing pretty well, and the like team, anytime you kind of go into dungeons and stuff played well enough, but it definitely was grindy. I remember that was like one of the biggest things, if you still look it up to this day, is definitely like the grind is brought up first, which is crazy because so many other games did grind too, but apparently this was just so much worse,
more noticeable. Yeah, from what I remember. I just remember playing a lot but not like improving a lot of my character, so that's kind of why I stopped playing it. All right, some other ones here. Metroid Other M on the Wii in 2010, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R on the PlayStation 2022 in Japan. What a good day for PlayStation. What day was that in 1999? Was that a Thursday? It's got to be a Thursday, because Thursday or Tuesday, because those are release days, right? Are you guys wanting a Dino Crisis remake in the style of like RE2 at all?
I mean, I would like to see it reimagined a little bit. I didn't really play it when it first came out. When you guys were talking about it, that was like the one thing I remember is this is one I tried way after the fact because I saw it. I'm like, okay, it's Resident Evil. Oh, but sweet, it has dinosaurs in it. Like we were talking about before. That's the vibe it had. I do remember having like a really cheesy like B movie kind of like feel to it. And I think that's what I kind of liked about it. So, like having it updated and fixing something, I remember this being really slow and plotting. Just looking at this video too, I'm like, man, the pacing can use a little bit of a tweak and maybe more dinosaurs. So yeah, I would see a reimagining of it. And like you mentioned, Max and other content creators had been talking about having like an update like the Resident Evil series has had on this. It's sought after. It just depends on how much it's going to cost, right? How much is it going to cost to build that out? And how many do they have to sell?
Demand, right? Like who cares about Dino Crisis these days? Because keep in mind, they made Dino Crisis 2, which is more action packed, right? And then 3 was an Xbox exclusive in space. And you're like, what?
That's one of those ones where people are like, there is no 3 in the series.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It's dead.
Yeah, it was just a weird time. And I was like, I remember seeing it in the store and I was like, what is
As far as I'm concerned, it just goes 1, 2, Exo Primal.
That's true. That's true. Here's I'm gonna pull something up here and check this out. This is from a indie studio. It's just like an idea of what it could be. And I don't know if you guys have probably seen this already, but this is pretty impressive. I'm thinking this is what the gamers want to have as far as like a remake goes. You know, and there it is. It's pretty close, right, to like RE2. No, this is just a conceptual like look of what it could be, you know. And I think what I would like is I don't want the safety of going to another room if that's like the big catch. Like I want to be able to like go to another room, but then maybe the door has some sort of durability, right? Like I don't want to just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna run away and just go into the other room and I can breathe for a little bit. Like I want dinosaurs to be actively hunting you, and like the alien from Isolation, right? Give them a little bit of AI, you know. But like the safety of like maybe some rooms will be like dino free for sure, but like I think doors should just be an obstacle, not a safety net for a lot of people. That's what I think that you should do. But anyway, we'll see. All right, next day.
That concept was.
It's been a long time since I've seen 3. That's so bad.
It's pretty bad. All right, September 1st, Marvel's Avengers. This had come up on our last couple podcasts. Came out on the PS4, Xbox One in 2020. Let's see. Andre said watching more videos about Onimusha made him feel better. This is one of those games where I watched more gameplay and I felt more afraid because I remember when they were marketing this game. I just didn't know what kind of game it was, and they wouldn't say on any of the interviews or any of the marketing like shows that they had about it. I was excited for it, but I just didn't know what kind of game it was. So I don't know if you guys had that same experience.
Bad. And this is before everything that actually happened with the game itself. Just the lack of transparency as far as what kind of game Avengers was supposed to be.
And I wonder why that is. Like that's the part that's confusing. Is like maybe because like they had split the game into 2 types of different games. One was a story mode, right, and then the end game was more of like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, right, beat 'em up, right. So that's why I was like confused because I didn't know if I can pick my character in each of the stages, right, or did they have their own storylines? Like that was the part that I was bothered by the most. And I mean, I was going to play it, but at the same time, I was going into it very unsure. And if I was unsure as somebody that was like, I'm going to play this game, I can only imagine the people on the fence. They were like, oh, well, I'm not sure, so I'm not going to buy it day one. Right. So I think that was a big issue with the game. Now, game's pretty fun if you like beat 'em up games. Ace and I we still play those games to this day. We often go back to it. It is now a dead game. They stopped supporting it, but when it was being supported, there was some good and bad. So I'll let Ace take care of that part.
Yeah, and actually, just a funny little aside. Last couple of times I streamed Avengers, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that there is still a relatively active online like, multiplayer community for it. Like I'm still able to not just go into quick match, but also like, I've been looking around and like there's still an active subreddit where you can actually like, have people join you on strike teams for certain like end game missions and raids too. But the game itself, like, firstly, I'm just gonna say this right here and now. If there is one thing that has been pretty consistent with, most of the major team up Marvel games, like, X-Men, like the X-Men Legends and Marvel Ultimate Mind stuff, that I feel like they actually brought over for Marvel's Avengers was the storytelling. Like the single player campaign for Marvel's Avengers was actually really damn solid. Like it could have legitimately been an MCU movie all on its own. It was that good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that I heard from the interwebs, and you hear a lot of things when you hang out on the interwebs, right? Like, and this was like an aesthetic like complaint. A lot of games were saying they don't look like the movie characters, right? And I think that because the movies had set the expectation, like this was coming after what 2020 was this like what Infinity War or Endgame,
Yeah,
right? Infinity War, right? So like, of course, they're reaching the peak of the MCU, and to have a game come out that don't look like the characters, and I understand why, because that's expensive for the budget, right? But I think it's a little bit unreasonable for a lot of people to be like, I'm not going to play because it doesn't look Robert Downey Jr. Like, kind of crazy.
I think this is a benefit of hindsight argument. I remember when this game came out, it got so much shit for not having the likenesses. And if you're talking about a big property like this and a big license, that's an immediate do not buy for a ton of people. On top of that, it's because it was built as a game as a service. So from the get go, it, as a couple of people in the chat have said, as well as you two, this thing deserved a lot better. Just because from its base, it was built as a super repetitive kind of thing, and it got super grindy out of the gate. The whole like blowback on not looking like the characters that went away after the first couple months. The whole talk of having like Walmart Captain America stopped. So after everyone that was like super vocal about it didn't pick it up, the game that was behind it, like I said, was pretty darn good. But there was tons of bugs at launch. I remember that. There was just that repetitive nonstop games as a service base. No one wants to keep playing that kind of game when it's the same kind of thing, which is too bad because the heroes in this were so different from each other. They played so different. There was a lot of variety in that. That was by far the best part. It showcased each of the heroes. That's what it should have done from the beginning.
Right.
It just put the focus on the wrong thing.
Like the kind of game mechanically that Marvel's Avengers was. I'm gonna keep saying this, but there was already a competitor on the market that pretty much was showing everybody how it was done and still taking their lunch money. Warframe. The way that Warframe, had set up, each of their different, heroes effectively. That kind of robustness in the playstyles was definitely here in Avengers, and it's like they took a lot of the basics, or at least patterned a lot of the basics alongside Warframe, but didn't really, take from it the lessons that Warframe had not only learned itself but taught the rest of its contemporaries over the course of its years.
It's almost like the consideration for what games as a service is differs so greatly between like major companies. The games as a service is always the same. That's why people get burnt out on it so often. It's the like Eastern developers or the ones that kind of are off the beaten path, or even indie developers that try games as a service that offer more. There's just too much mainstream, constantly the same. And then based on what Jagos is saying in chat, talking about bad marketing, failed expectations, I was in marketing meetings for this behind closed doors before this game was launched. They had a pretty clear message from the get-go. There wasn't an issue with like the marketing of this game. The expectations, that's a different conversation, because again, it wasn't from base build as a games as a service, at least not as big as some of the other ones out at the time. It was certainly like mentioned, but the lack of content is the issue. People knew kind of what they were getting into when they played this game. They saw QTEs, they saw these kind of like samey kind of things. It has a decent story, but the lack of content keeps it from being fresh. So failed expectations, I'd say that's a hindsight thing.
And not just the lack of content, but also a distressing lack of communication in regards to just the progress of the game's development in general. Again, that kind of lack of transparency that hurt it before launch continued to hurt it afterwards.
Right, and this is not to speak ill of people at Crystal Dynamics, but do you think Crystal Dynamics was the team to get this kind of game versus the stuff they've kind of made before? Do you think maybe there's some other teams on the market? Again, plenty of talented people were there when they made this. I'm not saying it wasn't that. I got to know a few of them behind those closed doors things, but when I saw it, it's like, yeah, cool, it has some aspect to it, but is this the right team? Is this their strength kind of thing?
And on top of that, there was a lot that they were promising. There was a lot that they were promising, and a lot that they didn't really have. It feels like they didn't have the opportunity to deliver on what they promised because that initial lack of content had their publishers and investors pretty gun shy.
Was this also a victim of Square numbers where they're like, oh,
Yep.
It only sold like 5 million copies?
Yep.
I guess like when you have a brand, like when you have a license, Avengers, it's gonna come with like high expectations, right? Anyway, to answer your question, Nick, I think Crystal Dynamics did a great job. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that content was definitely an issue, but they were definitely looking to stretch this baby out for a long time. They even when they stopped making the content and they were like stop supporting it, they even just released the assets they were working on War Machine because they were still working on something before they pulled the plug. So
and keep in mind the release on this one was September. What was it again? September 1st. Looking at these sales numbers, by the time it hit, what is it, November? It's over the next year's. I think it said it sold 3 million copies. That is nothing to like sneeze at. Maybe not enough to get it back, but that's a pretty good sale on this, right?
Square numbers, yeah.
It's not to sneeze at, but it's not Square numbers.
Yeah, it sold 3 million copies by November 2020.
Yeah. The thing too is like I don't mind. Here's the thing that I think this was also maybe it's past that. Like we were in the era of like loot boxes at the time, right? And then loot boxes was like the big complaint. And now before battle passes became a thing, and now we want to get back to loot boxes because of battle pass. When I say we, I'd say I'm using Overwatch.
Right, and the response from Square on this game's failure was like, obviously it's a failure for us. It didn't make money. We lost 63 some odd million from it. Looking at these reports here, but the biggest thing in the response to it was that the game is a commercial disappointment, but we're reaffirming that the service games is an important focus for the company in the future. So yeah, this failed, but games as a service.
Bro, they're not listening, I swear. Like the whole WB Justice League thing is so crazy how they're like
that. Oh my god, I can't believe that was in the news and we brought up. I'm like, this has to be fake. This can't be real. They're not actually doing this.
Some like executive was like, yeah, we understand the Suicide Squad failed, but come on, lives as a service where it's gonna make us the money. All right? I don't know why he's a gangster, but that's
this is an untapped potential.
Yeah, exactly. It's so silly. They're so out of touch, but whatever. All right. Other games that came out on the first before we rage Marvel's Avengers, because I actually enjoyed this game thoroughly. Mega Man 7 on the Super Nintendo in 1995. Give a little love to Rayman on the Jaguar in 1995 also. Turok Evolution came out on everything on 2009. For those PSP fans in 2009, Soul Calibur Broken Destiny came out on PSP. The Sims 4 can't brush out the Sims 4. That's like one of the biggest releases in gaming like history back in 2014. A tiny little game from WB called Mad Max came out on everything in 2015. Don't forget Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain also came out in 2015. So this was a pretty big day. Also, Starfield back in 2023, and supposedly Hell is Us is coming out or came out yesterday and this year.
So Mad Max deserved better as well. Open world
I agree.
Mad Max
I
game,
agree.
like especially after seeing what they've done with the IP since then. Like I would love to play like a Fury Road version of that kind of open world kind of thing. It also has one of my favorite little marketing things. They had a bottle opener that was a sawed-off shotgun that said Mad Max on the side. I loved that thing. It was so cool to get it. You only got those at like the events kind of things. I gave it to a buddy of mine who's a huge Mad Max fan. I just wanted to call out the fact that The Sims 4 was 2014, and 11 years later, they're still rolling out more content for that. Like, there's no Sims 5. It is now the platform. There's so much content for that. I still see ads for it. And it's free to play the base game now, too. 11 years ago? Ugh.
Dude, they know it's like GTA 5, right? But like the PG version. Like those people keep buying shark cards for Sims 4 and or the house ornaments or whatever, and they're like, why would we make a 5? They're still paying for 4, you know. So
that's it. We're making a gamer quotient house in Sims.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll put some chatters in there too. They'll come and visit.
Have Diego's come visit and just have his own life.
Just have him rage out.
yeah. There is no RE3 remake. That's what he was. Love you. All right. September 2. Speaking of 2, Blade 2 came out on the PS2, giving the PS2 some love. This was before Marvel and before MCU, before the Iron Man debacle took over the world, and Wesley Snipes was our main leading character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the time. Now, I actually did not play the second one, but I did play the first one. Do you have a video up for this?
Yes, I do.
Sweet. But yeah, and even today, people still love Wesley Snipes' Blade 2. He is the Blade. You know, according from Deadpool and Wolverine. Like,
hey, I loved that cameo in there.
Dude, he's so good.
One Blade.
To the point that there's all this like rumors going around now that the Ali one got canceled or has just been like put in development hell and is now being changed because they want Wesley Snipes back. Like, makes sense. I mean, he is the fan favorite, but it was really I was really hoping to see like his take on it instead. But it sucks that it keeps running into this like development hell kind of thing.
We have a multiverse now, so a lot of this can still happen. Like, you know, he could show up in Secret Wars, Avengers Doomsday, right? So, but apparently they're trying to make some sort of like mystical like universe, you know, of the MCU, because like Marvel and like Avengers is cosmic, right? And then there's a street level heroes like Daredevil, Luke Cage, right? Punisher are all street level heroes. They want to do like a mystical one with like Doctor Strange, like Blade, Black Knight, right? All the Moon Knight, all the ones that have like powers of like the mystic arts. Yeah. So Blade is like definitely part of that. Part of that crew, and he was the latest character released in Marvel Rivals, so I think he still has a future in Marvel, in some way or form, right? So he don't count out, you know, Blade yet.
Blade don't pay taxes.
He doesn't. That's why Expendables 2. It was really funny. He was there. Was it the second one or the third one? I can't remember.
No, it was 3.
It's 3. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, no, he
punched that dude's head off.
Yeah. Now, these MCU games or MCU Marvel games were great from the time. For those that are like kind of like, these look pretty mid. Like, think about like the era. This is like kind of what we had. The best one, in my opinion, out of all these games for PlayStation 2, Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was just God of War, but Marvel. It was
Ghost Rider and Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
Yeah, Hulk Ultimate Destruction, and then I would say like
non-Ultimate Alliance games.
And versus those, those are totally different. But Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man, pretty good too.
Yeah,
check that out. Some other games that came out on the 2nd of September. Live a Live was actually an originally Super Nintendo game back in 1994, not a Switch game. So good to know. Front Mission 3 on a PlayStation in 1999 in Japan. I definitely picked that up when I first came out. Wild Arms 2 on the PlayStation in 1999 in Japan. Terminator 3, The Redemption on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox in 2004. I remember seeing that at the game store quite often. I think it had a foil cover also, which was like very unique on the Xbox. And also Infinite Undiscovery came out on the 360 in 2008. So
one of my favorite Japanese translation titles that we had on the wall when people are like, I need funny names. Infinite Undiscovery.
Yeah,
What
right?
does it mean?
You're never gonna find anything. That's what it means. Infinite. Now you got Wild Arms 2 up here. Go and talk about that while I look up my copy of Formation.
Now, Wild Arms 2 has something of a special place in my heart. Not just because I absolutely loved the game, played through the entirety of that thing on the PlayStation, but it was also the first multi-disc RPG that I played where like the changes, like the change in the vibe was significant when you popped in disc 2. Like not only did the first disc end on major like climactic sort of cliffhanger, but then you pop in disc 2 and it's got a different opening.
Whoa, that's cool. I didn't even know that.
Like that had me bugging because I'm like, oh, this is getting serious.
Can you play disc 2 without disc 1?
Well, you can put it in, but it'll if you don't have any data that's saved to disc 2, then you'll have to start back.
Okay. Golgotha Prison.
But again, Wild Arms 2, it carries on that that really awesome tradition of mixing spaghetti western with kind of sword and sword.
No way.
Sword.
Hey, I didn't even know I had a copy. Sick. Look at that.
Dope.
Let's go.
That's what's up.
All right, Chad, since we have you here, favorite Wild Arms cover art.
There's 2 of them right now. 5 is pretty good. That's very westerny on 5.
Personally, 2, at the very least, in the US, 2's got my favorite cover.
2 is pretty sick. I mean, look at the cover of 2. It's got that like sunset. It's pretty dope. I feel like a old man radio DJ about pulling out PlayStation games on the shelf. You know what I'm talking about? They're like, you got a request? Let me pull that out. But it's like a PlayStation. So.
All right, I'm trying to set up a shelf like that at the very least with the PS3, 4, and 5 games.
The PlayStation wall.
Yeah, I need to start collecting the PS1 games too, so that way I'll have
my
showcase section.
Better sooner than later. They're getting out of control, in my opinion. Right. So keep that in mind. All right. Let's do Day Tree. Another banger of a game. Man, this PlayStation is killing it, right? September 3, Metal Gear Solid changed the world in 1998 in Japan. I remember picking this up at the GameStop in the mall. I think it was called EB Games.
It was EB.
Still? Yeah, it was EB Games still, because it was the one that was like by the food court. And I was just like, yo, this is, because I remember playing this on the demo of this, and I was like, dude, this is it. This is the future of gaming. I just remember saying that. And I was like, I cleared my calendar. My 17-year-old self cleared the calendar. We're playing this. It's gonna be the game.
Look, I am going to admit to the numerous days of school that I ditched. Staying at home with my friend and his little brother, all 3 of us playing through Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, and it's a 1-player game. That's the crazy part, right? But it's but like you were playing it while you were watching. It was entertaining to watch your buddy play it too. And I think this was one of those first time in gaming history where you're like, bro, like play that game. I want to see what happens next. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you talk about it. Like school, you talk about it at the playground, whatever.
How long since then has it been that people are still discovering, you know, the the codec channel on the back of the
well, they're not, because they don't have it in the downloadable version.
Oh yeah.
You know, and also the digital version, you're not able to plug in your second controller when you fight Psycho Mantis. So they had to change it, right? You had to alter it the way you beat them, right? So kids, I'm just saying, back in the day, there were games in your games. All right, like Boktai, you had to go outside and charge that baby up, right? Metal Gear, you had to check the manual, you had to check the box art for like the next like puzzle. It was crazy.
I see you like Castlevania.
Yeah, sounds like you like arcade games. I remember I was like, whoa, it knows what I'm playing? That's crazy. Like, I remember. So wild. And I had I had to get my buddy, like, buddy, check this out. This is sick. Like, those were just amazing. You had to be there. You can't just watch it on YouTube. You actually experience.
That was a quite literal, you had to be there game.
Yeah. Also, like, I was a big fan of the Rock movie. You guys remember the Rock with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery?
It's one of my favorites to watch.
Yeah, like they went to a prison like island to disarm the nukes. And I was playing this, I was like, bro, I'm playing the Rock. That's so cool.
I'm going to Alcatraz.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta get rid of the VX gas.
Yeah, this is the same storyline, and I was like, this is so sick. I was like, all about.
But it was like you were playing a younger Sean Connery, and Otacon was your Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like I was playing a prequel to like when Sean Connery was like still doing his thing. So
when he was escaping from prison.
Yeah, in his character, right? So,
good speed.
this thing is just and also like I'm not gonna say cinematic masterpiece, but it was pretty good for a PlayStation game. And I also read a pretty fun piece of trivia. This game's script was longer than Terminator 2's, by like 10 pages or something like that. It was crazy. So, but yeah, it was just really fun little trivia for Metal Gear.
This is also definitely a title where it set the tone as far as Metal Gear Solid games really pushing the hardware that they were developed on.
Yeah.
To its utmost.
100%. And I like you play this game, you're like, the PlayStation can do this? Like this is insane. And we're watching it right now. It's got jittery polygons, and some of the polygons don't make any sense. Look like they're like dislocated from each other. That was a big thing with PlayStation's infrastructure, I think, from what I'm remembering. But yeah, it's all about like how smart you are when you make the game. I feel like even this has that slow motion blur. You saw that right there. Like they were making it happen in some way or form with the limitations of the hardware, because you got to get creative, right? Kind of like how I praise Final Fantasy 12 a lot. Like they did a good job of like squeezing out every juice of the PS2 in that game, because that game looks fantastic for a PS2 game. So yeah, shout out to Kojima, right? So I mean, if you guys played Death Stranding, he's still doing it.
Oddly enough, Kojima also celebrated his 62nd birthday.
62, dude. The guy looks barely like mid 30s.
Right.
Crazy. Anyway, other games that came on the 3rd, The Magic of Sherazade. That was our intro to today's show. Pretty awesome beat. And if you guys haven't heard of that game, it was a game developed by a company called Culture Brain. And they made some other games on the Nintendo, like Ninja Twins or Ninja Bros, I think they were called. And they also did the Flying Dragon games on the Nintendo, Super Nintendo. It's very obscure. I don't even know if they exist these days. Culture Brain. They probably got bought out by Namco or something. Magic of Sherazade, from what I remember, was like a Legend of Zelda style game. We'll see here in a second. It's been a long time, but I remember having awesome music. And when I was a kid, I could not pronounce Sherazade. I was like, Scheherazade? I was like...
Yeah, I remember when this one would come into the store, too. It's just like, wait, what? What does this title say?
Yeah. Shout out to the box art, too. The box art on this is... Wait, I'll read off some other games. came out. Not too much, but Face Breaker on the PS3, if you guys remember that in 2008, that was a fun little arcadey game there. DOA 5 or Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate on the PlayStation 3 and the 360 in 2013. And shout out to Rayman Legends coming back in 2013 multiplayer. And I think that's like one of the games we recommended for like kids whenever the parents would come in. That was a good one. And a Diablo-like pixel art game called Children of Morta came out on a PC in 2019. I actually played that on stream a long time ago, probably in 2019 when it first came out, or 2020 probably. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like I felt like I was playing a Ghibli movie, but like in pixel art form. But it plays like Diablo. If you can find some video, cool. But it's really fun. I highly recommend it because you play as different members of the family, and each member of the family has different ability stats, right? So, and I think it's like if your character dies in a run, you have to rescue them with another family member before you can replay them again, right? But it's like a Diablo style like dungeon, like a almost roguelike at the same time. Art direction on this is super cool. The storytelling is fantastic. I think this game was like $20 or less when I played it. Like it's highly worth it for the entertainment value for the price. But like I said, like great storytelling, like, and the visuals is, if you like pixel art, it's like up there for me. Children of Morta.
Yeah, this looks great.
It kind of reminds me of Secret of Mana, almost like the storytelling for Secret of Mana. There's a mana tree and all that stuff. Check it out. Check it out. Is there some gameplay? Go on real quick.
Oh, story.
Yeah, there you go. It's like Diablo. And then like there's I think it's also procedurally generated. This is the scripted parts.
Oh.
Yeah, Jago says you upgrade the family members with what you get on the run.
So
yeah, and it does have
like
co-op.
What year was that?
2019. Yeah.
So definitely during that time as we started seeing more and more of like the roguelites become a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just super impressive. I didn't know what it was actually, and then they had to release the physical copy of it. So I was actually at the GameStop looking at my phone. What is Children of Morta gameplay? And I was like, wow, actually it's like Diablo. It's pretty cool. $20. I'll check it out. Best $20 I played for the weekend. Had a good time. I haven't touched it since, but not a lot of people know about it because it doesn't have online, which is pretty awesome. Local co-op's pretty great.
Sweet.
All right. Here's a game that everybody remembers, right? On September 4th.
Actually, I do.
Frank Thomas Big Hurt Baseball came out in 1995 in the Sega Genesis. I wanted to give the Genesis some love because I love featuring retro games, but back in the day, you notice that there's more modern games coming out sooner and faster than old retro games back in the day. They were just longer to make back in the day, I remember I had to wait like Street Fighter for like 2 years after they came out in the arcade.
And again, this right here is part of a long list of sports games that came out in the 90s that, that actually featured specific athletes on the cover.
Oh, yeah. Joe Montana, Riddick Bowe, right? George Foreman, right? Evander Holyfield. Chat, watching this game like looks pretty good. Like this could be an indie game now. Like think about it. It's just squeezing out the juice of the Sega Gen because the color palette for the Sega Genesis is only like I think 256 colors, right? This is definitely like maxing it. This is like Donkey Kong Country levels of. This is amazing.
I just remember buying this game just because of Frank Thomas. I grew up on the South Side, so it's like I watched him play. Yeah, I watched him play when I was a kid, so I bought it just for that. I will say I remember playing Little League Baseball on the NES a lot more than this one. Like that one, just like we had it in our household early, so it was just the one I gravitated to because I got used to playing it, right, compared to this one.
What about you, Ace? You have a baseball game that you played retro or back in the day?
Bases Loaded.
Yeah, Bases Loaded was kind of like the MLB at the time.
Like Bases Loaded and let's see, it was Bases Loaded, RBI Baseball, and
Man.
Yeah, I remember RBI.
RBI. But is it running bases in, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also had, like we already talked about it before, but like having baseball stars. Not
Yeah,
quite sports solid, like realism, but yeah.
no, but it was like that game was just sick. Like when you watch it on the
Baseball
arcades, you're
Stars
like,
and
this is
Super
so
Baseball
cool.
2020.
Yeah. Yeah, those are both great. Like Neo Geo had some great games. Nick, look up real quick, look up Slam Dunk on the
Oh,
Neo Geo.
oh, so good.
This was like a 3v3 street ball game, and I was like, I saw a video of this like randomly on my reel, and I was like, whoa, I remember this game. This game was so sick. And, and I was just like,
Slam
I
dunk or
don't
street hoop?
I think it's Street Hoop. Street Hoop. It was on only on the Neo Geo because I knew I was looking for it. Nintendo, Super Nintendo. And it's too good. Yeah, Dunk Dream. That's what it was. Yeah, this is so sick, dude. I remember playing this, and just because like this was their NBA Jam, right? Without the NBA title, and I was like, dude, this is Neo Geo NBA Jam. This is fire. Dude. Look at that. They just have a really cool art direction when it comes to their sports games. Look how vibrant, colorful it is.
That and with the scores and stuff, this is Neo Geo as hell. Like
Yeah,
anyone who's
like
seen
the
like a
font.
Neo Geo arcade, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
There's also a lot of white dudes playing. Oh yeah, it's Japan versus Italy. That's one. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, I just realized they have their Italian colors and their Japan colors. That's funny. Yeah, this game is sick. I always enjoyed this type of sports game because one and the Bugs Bunny Crazy Baseball was a really good one. You guys ever play that? Or Crazy Basketball, whatever.
No.
That was a
I
fun
played the
one.
Crazy Castles line.
The Crazy Castle. Yeah, the Bugs Bunny Slam Dunk game, whatever it was really fun too. Because every character had a different ability. Anyway, great sports games on the retro era. Other games that came out in 9.4, Medal of Honor Airborne. I miss Medal of Honor. I wonder what on the PC in 360 in 2007, Outlast on the PC in 2013, and most recently, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 2 came out on PC, PS4, Xbox One. Wow, in 2020? Really? I thought that was like last year. Yeah. Even the remake is
like, literally right around the time of Avengers.
I know like 3 and 4 had just come out. That's a crazy dunk.
There we go. There's the crazy stuff we're looking for.
Well, when is our street hoop tournament?
Oh man,
this game is great.
Yeah, I want to see some. I want to see this come back the way they did Windjammers.
Oh yeah, there you go. Street hoop, the balling around the world. That should be the subtitle.
That would be amazing.
That'd be great. All right, I love it. Here's a game that Nick will remember. Stranglehold came out on September 5th in 2007 on the 360. I think this game had come out on 360 first, then PS3, because I don't remember it being available right away on PS3. Am I correct on that?
You are correct, but the PS3 version had the movie Hard Boiled on it.
Oh, because it was Blu-ray.
Yeah, it was a Blu-ray. Well, not on the same disc, but a separate. The second disc was the movie, which that thing was hard to get a hold of.
Yeah,
I wanted it. And for anyone who like enjoys watching like old school Hong Kong action films, that movie for the longest time you couldn't even stream in the US. So getting a DVD that was like really bad quality was still going to cost you like $40-$50. It was like, it just finally got added to like Amazon Prime, and I bought it immediately. I love that movie, and by proxy, I loved this game for what it was. It's definitely not one that like. Playing through it again, it definitely has some interesting design decisions, and it was a little bit like there's a lot of issues with like too many like repeating kind of like interactions. You'd run into a space, you'd shoot things up, you'd run to the next. It didn't take a big brain to play the game, but it had style, and even the goofy little thing, which I will probably show up in this video, where it stops. And you have to like dodge out of the way of like bullets and things flying to like shoot dudes. Like it breaks up the action. It can be a little like schlocky, but this game was so much fun to do that bullet time, like that jumping on top of a cart and then steering the cart as you go.
You're basically playing a John Woo.
I mean,
right?
It's exactly what it is.
Needs more doves though. More doves.
Yeah, there should be a suit when you turn on your super, like they'll just pop out of nowhere.
It basically just was like, if I could do the bullet time for Max Payne, but not stop.
Just keep doing it.
Just keep doing it. Like jump, midair turn around almost 360 while shooting 2 guns. Like, yeah, absolutely loved this game just for that.
Yeah. No, it was definitely like on my list to buy, pick up, and play. Was the movie only in the collector's edition of Stranglehold?
It was only in the PS3 special edition.
Okay.
It was like the black cover
Yeah,
art, if I remember right.
it's like the black background with like him colored, I think, instead of the red and white. Yeah, I think I see it. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, it does say in the bottom concludes hard boiled. God, I don't think I have that. Yeah, why don't I have that? That's terrible. It is going to be a hard one to find because it's like not only like it's like this was a game that was like you already you know, you had to know it's a very in like a what do you call it, like an in joke, right?
Mhm.
So I totally get it. All right, some other games that came out on the 5th. My personal addition to this was Super Pitfall on Nintendo. That was a game I definitely picked up and played when I was a kid. Armored Core 3 on the PS2 in 2002. Yakuza on the PS2 in 2006. Dead Island on the PC in 2011. Warhammer 40k Space Marine, the first one, came out on the PC in 2011. Knack 2 on the PS4 in 2017. This premiered also Destiny 2 on the PS4 in 2018. Gears 5 and on the Xbox One in 2019, and also ironically, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 also came out in 2024, the same day. What's a pretty big day for gaming.
For a very big day, and again for me, for Stranglehold. With that in mind, chat, everyone, I am going to log off really quickly. I'm going to help with my baby. She just hates Stranglehold. I'm going to make sure she gets down okay, and I'll see you in a little bit.
She loves it, or she's just like, I want to watch, but I can't. It's not old enough. All right, and then 9-6 here we got, of course, Astrobot coming out of the WordWorks, deserving Game of the Year because of its like little fan service to Sony Studios, and actually just PlayStation fans everywhere. They covered a lot. They covered a lot of different games. They even had Gear in there. Did Final Fantasy, Devil May Cry. They just knew their legacy and they rolled with it in Astrobot. This is like one of those examples, in my opinion, where like it's not even a great game, but the content and then the idea behind it. Hey, let's have robots from dressed up as all other IPs because that's what you played on PlayStation, right? That's all it took for this game to be charming and be loved. Because I don't see a lot of like, I guess like game dazzling mechanics or graphics in this game. I just see love for PlayStation and video game in this game, and sometimes that's all it takes.
And from what I've seen, as far as like the gameplay, and especially from what Andre's been telling me about it, it takes tried and true collectathon mascot platformer game mechanics, and it doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, but it does what it does exceptionally well. And then you add to that the mascot bots, and you've got a recipe for success.
Bro, this art right here, this cover art is an advertisement for PlayStation, not just Astrobot, just for PlayStation. Look at all the heroes over here. The only thing that they're missing is what do you call it? Generational heroes, right? Like let's talk about where's Parappa? Where's the PlayStation 1 heroes of Stone?
Where's Parappa? Where's Crash? Where's Jumping Flash?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like this right here is the love for PlayStation. Now, here's the thing. I think Xbox should make one their own. I think Xbox should maybe capitalize on the rare IPs that are only showing up in there.
Brother, I want to see the Battletoads ripping and running with Conquer.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't mind it if they mix it up and Master Chief shows up and or Marcus from Gears of War. Like, dude, go crazy. Yeah, go crazy, dude. Like, just create your own like Microsoft IP game that's like has all our IPs and characters in it. I think that's what Microsoft needs. I think they need they need to return back to the love of their games, because they keep talking about like you can play your Xbox games on anything now. Okay, but what games? Like, what are you talking about? That's not on Xbox. It's on everything else, right? So if they want to sell more hardware, they got to entice people with the games that are going to be on there. Because there's still like yearly limitations on exclusivity on some of those games on PlayStation, right? They got to still wait a year on some of these games to show up on PC, you know?
I mean, it's like instead of hardware being the platforms, it's games that are platforms.
Right? Yeah, and that's wild. Like we talked about last time, how it was interesting that it's not about the amount of games people are playing these days. It's about the amount of time they play on each game now. That's what they are recording now, which is like you and I's generation. We beat a game like over the weekend, right? Because like games were just not that long. They didn't have a lot of support. Like finish the story, you were done, right? Or you collected everything. But now it's like, oh, there's a season pass, there's a battle pass, there's an update. So it's a whole new world out there for games. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, you know?
Right.
So, but yeah, some other games that come out on that day. Another Turok game, Turok 3, Shadow of Oblivion on the N64, 2000. Shenmue 2 also came out on the Dreamcast, 2001 in Japan. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses on PS2, 2001 in Japan. I specifically bought that for some cards. I think it was like Toon World or something. Like it was the Maximilian like cards. It was Blue Eyes Toon Dragon or something.
Right.
They came out with it. Here's one, Radiata Stories on the PS2. Did you ever play that? That was a Square game.
I played that a little bit. That was another, like underrated Square Enix gem on the PS2.
I always thought Radiata Stories was like the Vagrant story of the PS2 era, because it's like it came out like in the tail end of the PS2 and we were kind of moving on the system. So it came out in 2005. Resistance 3 came out on PS3 in 2011. Whenever you get it, I'm gonna get another one of those. You know, that could be a not that I want it to be, but that could be a good live service game. The war keeps coming on. The aliens keep invading. You know.
Well, no, we got that. You want to know what that's called? Helldivers 2.
That's right. That's right. And now we just need those guys need to be another a guest faction. Helldivers 2. And
I was about to say actually what we need now is we need the divers. Sorry, we need the soldiers and the bugs from fucking Earth Defense Force.
Yeah, that could be another war bond. 100%. If the ODST can make it into Helldivers, I can only imagine the EDF, right? Just guess they're going to be called something else, of course. The EDF could make it there. Yeah,
the SDF, the Super Democracy Force.
Yeah, exactly. A little fun game called SNK Heroines. And the Tag Team Frenzy came out on the Switch and PS4. Did you ever play this one, Ace? It's like the all-girl SNK game. Okay. You ever play Blade Strangers? You had that last time.
Like once or twice, I think.
Okay.
I think I might have played Blade Strangers as I think it might have actually been one of the times where they were still demoing games with a reset.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I just remember this control scheme for SNK Heroes was like modern mode on Street Fighter 6. Like they didn't have the traditional fireball motions and stuff. They were like up special, down special, something like that. Yeah. So it was definitely a game made to be more like simplified, kind of like Blaze Blue Cross Battle. I think very similar to that. But yeah, that was 9-6. Yeah. Any chat? Anything in there that you saw that you liked, or stories? Shenmue 2. Anybody has Shenmue 2 story you want to share? I didn't have a Dreamcast. I only rented one, and I spent almost like $100 trying to rent a Dreamcast and like 3 games, I think. And I really wanted one, but it was expensive. It was like $300. You know. And I just remember I remember driving to Bellingham, which I live there now, right? Because I used to live in Blaine back in high school. Driving to Bellingham, finding like this like third party video store that rented out Dreamcasts here. I don't even think that store exists anymore. It was a video store. It wasn't a Blockbuster, because I remember getting the Dreamcast in a suitcase, and then driving back to Blaine. to play it, and I was like, dude, this is gonna be the best weekend ever. I got Facebreaker here. I got, who else? I think at the time it was like Soul Calibur. We also ran the Soul Calibur, and we definitely got Crazy Taxi. That was like Soul Calibur, Crazy Taxi, and Facebreaker, I think. And for 2 controllers, the Dreamcast itself for the weekend, it was like 2 days or something. Ended up being like $75 for the rental. And I was like, my God, hope this is worth it. So $75 in like 2001 is a lot of money. 2001. All right. Anyway, folks, that is your week in gaming history. Yeah. All right. Now, before Nick gets back, let's just chat a little bit about what's on the comeuppance of Quick Bytes and the Rumor Mill. I hope they have that in Ninja Gaiden 4. I don't know if they have it in Ragebound, but if they have, I hope they have something awesome like that in Ninja Gaiden 4, like something more metal. That'd be so cool. I hope they have that. Chapter 1, start, and he plays an electric guitar. I'd be like, oh, this is so sick. That would trigger me to be happy. So we'll see. All right, so got a few little tidbits here, I think, with the top 5 news from everything else. We got the first one we talked about a little bit earlier tonight, which was Hollow Knight Silksong launches September 4 for $20.
That's going to be dropping this week.
Literally in 2 days, my friend. So
for 20 smackers. Holy
for $20.
cow.
And here's the thing. Some people are upset because Hollow Knight back then was $14.99. So they're like, $5 more? That's crazy.
Look, at least they're dropping Silksong 2 for 20 instead of trying to put it up to like 40 or
my dude,
more premium game.
I'm telling you, not everybody's gonna like everything. I think this is amazing for the amount of dev time these guys put in, right? These guys are making a fully finished product when it comes out. There are no updates, no nothing. After a 7-year wait, Hollow Knight Silksong finally arrives this fall, priced reasonably at $19.99, launching Game Pass day 1, and it's poised to follow in its predecessor's footsteps. Yeah, of course. People have been wanting this game for the longest time. It's been delayed like 3 times, right? Mm-hmm. But we talk about on the show how we want quality. Take as much time as you want. We want quality over quantity, right? This is it. I think this is a prime example of an indie studio going, yeah, we want a good product. We want to give it to you at a good price, right? And we want to give it to you complete, right? So after 7 years, sequel's finally happening. It's on Game Pass day 1. That's a huge accessibility boost, right? Yep. For $19.99 for what we've been paying for slop, right? At $60 with a battle pass. This is a dream come true for a brand new game. That's thought of as AAA, but not AAA, right? And by reputation, it's AAA. It's crazy how like clean and amazing Hollow Knight feels. And I was just talking about how the budget for Spider-Man was like what I think Jago said or Andre said like 90 million or something like that. And then the sequel was 300 million. And I was like, but they already have assets. Why did they triple it? What did they put that money into?
Just
right?
That's still like it hurts my brain.
Right. It tripled the budget. And I was like, but it's still technically the same game. It's not like breaking any barriers or anything, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking the same way with Silksong. I'm thinking like, all right, this game is going to be like, I don't know what the budget is for this one, but like the dev time definitely like if they had a minimal budget, it's going to take up a lot longer to make, right? Because it's a smaller amount of people, less people on the payroll, right? But we're going to get like these guys have a reputation of making a good product. And they know like they're on the gamer side on this. Think about it this way, guys, for a game that's 7 years old, it's only $5 more at a price range of under $20. They know what's up. They get it. They understand. Because if we go for inflation
in their product.
Yeah, exactly. And like I don't remember seeing any DLC really for Hollow Knight. I think maybe there was an expansion. That was it. That's pretty typical, but there was nothing like like, oh my god, this costs more than the game. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing crazy like that. Anyway, after such a long wait, do you guys think Silksong will live up to the hype, or you think the anticipation is kind of like its own thing now?
I feel like, honestly, it as long as that game has taken the fact that it's taken that long, it's kind of running into the same issue that Lost Soul Aside had. The fact that people have been anticipating that game for so long. However, and this is the key here. Compared to Lost Soul Aside, which also took 7, 8, 9, 10 years in development, that game is an untested IP. Silksong already has that goodwill and that track record. Hollow Knight has that goodwill and that track record that it could soften the blow. It could take the hit of that 7-year development cycle since announcement for Silksong, and then still come out to the kind of critical acclaim that the first one wound up garnering.
I also think like this could possibly result in reverse sales as well. Like a lot of people will play Silksong and then play Hollow Knight.
Stayed up with me. It was really cool. Just having something there.
What's up?
Oh, no, just turn the TV down real quick.
Okay. Yeah, I think it will just get people that have not played Hollow Knight to play Hollow Knight, therefore generating more sales for Hollow Knight, right? And then playing and having to play the sequel or whatever you want to call this game. Let's just call it a sequel for still less than a full price game on a AAA title, right? So
right. Let me double check something real quick. Let me pop back onto the PlayStation Store, and I'll do a quick search.
You guys want to hear something crazy here? I'll show you guys here in a second. All right. So, real quick, I'm going to do some math here for y'all because we want to learn something today. So, Hollow Knight has sold over 15 million copies across the board between PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, right? Even if they got $10 a game, how much money do you think they're making?
Wait, how many copies did it sell?
15 million.
Well, at $10 a game, yeah, 150, almost 200 mil, easy.
Yeah. Now, how many developers were there, you think?
3, if what I saw in the chat's correct.
Is that what they said? 3 people made this game for 7 years, just worked on everything they put in. Okay. 250 million divided by 3. I think they don't need to make video games anymore.
Right. And yeah, no, the original Hollow Knight's what? $15?
Yeah.
You can get both Hollow Knight and Silksong for less than the cost of a AAA game.
Right?
For damn near half the cost.
It says here.
Spin facts.
It says here the quote is $19.99 in 2025 indie pricing, but AAA quality makes no sense to me. So, I don't know. What's your thoughts on this, Nick? And also, is baby okay?
Baby's fine. Sorry to step away. She was absolutely piercing, crying, screaming. Just did not want to go to sleep. Where are we? You're talking about Hollow Knight, yeah?
Just Silksong, yeah.
I think the best way to talk about Silksong coming out, because again, I said at the top, it maybe wasn't my kind of game. That's not to say there's not things I enjoy about it. I know that this was a really good quality for what it was. The game cost, what was it, $15? You said when it launched in 2017. For $15 or something that has that kind of not dark, but really good story. Remember it was pretty emotional, deep atmospheric kind of thing. For something that came out that was indie, it got its following because it was a little brutal but fair, great boss fights, and a lot of people really enjoying the story that it told. So it still has those legs on it after all that time. It's like when people talk about things like Celeste, for example, great soundtrack, great gameplay, stuck around a long time.
Right.
So this finally getting a sequel is like, okay, this has been talked about for a long time, and it's finally here, and it's only going to be $5 more than the original game, and it looks to be a continuation of everything that people loved about the original with more. Like, this seems like a slam dunk to me, right? Especially with
Easily.
new places to experience, new enemies, and the gameplay that they did show off looking great.
This is like a Symphony of the Night's player's dream. This game right here. I'm not saying just Silksong. I think Hollow Knight in general, overall good. My ex-girlfriend actually introduced me to Hollow Knight. She even bought it for me. Just bless her heart. She from when I started playing it, I honestly got the vibe of the Dark Souls from Software storytelling, where you don't really know too much about the world, but as you discover things, pick up items, you start piecing the puzzles together, and you're like, oh, so this is what the story is, right? And that's kind of the storytelling that I got.
Yeah, I feel for me, like, when looking back at this, I think at the time I was just engrossed with Ori, and I just didn't have another platformer that I really wanted to get into, because there was tons of platformers and a lot of indie platformers that had come out that were good. I was burnt up by the time Hollow Knight hit. Like, I'd played a ton of Super Meat Boy. I mentioned Celeste before. I remember like some of the top-down puzzly games, like or isometric, like Braid. I played a lot of Braid, so it's just like it wasn't on my radar. Something I really wanted to check out, but obviously we're talking about it now, and it still is in the zeitgeist, the gaming zeitgeist. Like, I know about it, being around the industry and stuff. It may not be for me, but there's reasons that people love this.
Right. Yeah, that's like how Mass Effect is for me. It's not
I get it.
not quite my thing, but I am not going to discount the kind of impact that series has made.
Yeah, you know what, Ace? I know someone else that said that too until recently, and we broke his walls down.
It only took how many years? I played a long game, son.
So do I. Eventually, I'll get you to play it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I understood the impact of Mass Effect, but I was just so into Dragon Age, right? So I get it. Like, if it's the same game but in science, fantasy, whatever, I understand. But now, man, comparing the two, honestly, I honestly feel they gave more love to Mass Effect. If I had two kids and I would have liked one, and I show you which one's loved more, I would say Mass Effect was loved a little bit more than Dragon Age in comparing the two games.
Well, and we talked about this before. Like, check out Mark Dara, one of the original devs on both of that series. He's done multiple interviews and videos now, kind of breaking down what happened. We talked about it before on our podcast as well. Like, the resources and like you said, the love was not the same, and having two different teams that operated very differently, it almost like it was two different dev studios. It almost felt like that.
Yep. No, you're right, 100%. And after seeing that calendar that you showed us, I think people really need to see that to kind of like check themselves from like complaining too much, or at least be educated more when they make their statements. Because having a calendar like that packed in, dude, that's crazy. I can only imagine if I was a college student and I had each of those were projects that I had to do. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my hair.
Imagine taking resources away from one of your bigger projects to put on another project that's struggling to get to the finish line. Like, for viewers or people watching this after the fact that don't know what we're talking about, it was just the release cycle and the dev calendar time frame over years that BioWare had, and you saw concurrent games being developed, and we were talking about how, like, they would take people and resources from one project to send over to the other project, and again, from two different teams with two different skill sets and goals and all that stuff. So it was nightmare fuel, and you could see why a lot of those games ended up suffering. And that's a problem at AAA in general, which is why we're talking about something like this again, something AA, something that's smaller, indie, essentially. But the punch is way above its weight because the game that's there is worth the price. This seems like it's going to be absolutely worth the $20, and it's not a games as a service. It's not a subscription.
Yeah, I think we're just so spoiled. Not spoiled, but we're so beaten down by like 40, 50, 60, 70, $80 games these days to get like a AAA quality game for $20. We're just like, oh my, this is DLC. You know what I'm saying? Like,
look, man, I've been on record before saying we're our own worst enemy as gamers because we absolutely will complain and bitch about this stuff, but then we go out and still buy these games, or we still buy the subscriptions. We were talking about it. What was it? 54% of all purchases on PC were DLC or sorry, it was microtransactions. Like,
Microtransactions, yeah.
duh, they are going to see the dollar signs there. They're going to want to have that because people are literally buying it. It may be something we complain about. It's something we don't want, but people are spending money there. So you're going to go where the money is. Remember how many dev studios jumped to mobile? Because mobile is huge. Everyone has a phone. There's money to be made there. Not as much of a huge investment in time and resources and money to get a game off the ground to make the money back. Like, like I said, we can complain, but people be shopping.
Yeah, it's you gotta vote with your wallet, and we vote wrong every time. All right, what's our next topic, Nick? What you got?
Let's see, next one. Speaking of spending, subscriptions.
Oh, good. Transition.
Speaking of spending money, we got it right here.
Yep. So yeah, in July especially, U.S. video game subscription spending rose nearly 21% year over year. Like Switch 2 still leading hardware sales. PS5 and Xbox Series and the Xbox Series consoles are seeing declines, but there's just so much subscription spending, just month over month, year over year, and it's again, it's like gamers being our own worst enemies in that regard, but at the same time, people be shopping, people be spending.
I mean, can you blame us though? Like, do we have a choice? Like, do you want to play games online with your friends? You gotta subscribe.
Yeah, and unfortunately, no, we don't have much of a choice. It used to be that PlayStation Plus was, free. It was free to connect to the internet and connect to online multiplayer.
Xbox Live, you just needed the internet connection, and then you needed to have your gold subscription to play.
Yep,
Man.
I remember that.
But yeah, it's an absolutely wild time just looking out and seeing what extra people need to spend, the extra financial hoops folks need to jump through just to be able to play something multiplayer or co-op.
And honestly, man, after what we were just talking about, they're going to go where the money is. We look what Xbox is doing with their model, with their current idea for playing like releasing their content on other consoles, tying things to subscriptions, going for that Game Pass cloud, everything is an Xbox kind of thing. Like yes, we are very much heading towards like an all subscription future if other companies follow suit. And there's already been rumors that PlayStation is trying to do the same thing in the next generation, trying to plan for that. And you remember like PlayStation Plus, you just mentioned that. Remember when they added tiers? And now there's different tiers. Before it was just you had PlayStation
Premium,
Plus.
Light.
Yeah, standard, premium, ultimate, essentially kind of thing, right? There's 3 different tiers. You get free, more free games, the higher up, some more benefits kind of thing. But that breaking into the different tiers, that's when I stopped my PlayStation Plus subscription, was when that hit. It just wasn't worthwhile for me. I kept my Xbox One for a little bit longer. I had the benefit of obviously working in tandem as a vendor with that company when I was contracted through them. So I had the access to Game Pass that I got from the company for some of the projects that I did, which was great. I loved it. Absolutely worth the price when I had to pay for it on my own because I still wanted to play those games. Like right now, Gears of War Reloaded, love that on Game Pass. I resubscribed for very specific titles so I could play with my friends. That's when it's worthwhile for me. But yeah, man, everything is a subscription right now. Let's talk about comparing it to the NFL. Man, how many different services do you have if you don't want to buy YouTube TV and Sunday Ticket on top of that, and now ESPN buying like Red Zone and all that. just imagining how many different subscriptions I have just to access the one game I want to watch or the couple games I want to watch. I'm already seeing that happen with video games now. That's
You might as well just
why
go to
I
Ticketmaster
spent
and buy a ticket to the game.
right. That's why I saved a little bit of money, and instead of buying games for my console, I bought for PC. I can play Borderlands on my PC without the need for a subscription, and I can play cross-platform on that game with my friends who have it on console. Like, why would I need to then get a subscription to play with my friends when I can just do that all in one place and I only have to pay one price?
I mean, it all harkens back to Gabe Newell's quote about piracy. It's the same thing. It's a service issue, and when you're gaming on PC, by and large, you have a place where the service is better and more people are going to go. But speaking of gaming on PC and hardware, though, let's take it back to Nintendo real quick, since I saw that footage of everybody's golf up there real quick. I mean, there's the simple fact that, again, Nintendo also charging for tiered subscriptions for their online service, but they have the advantage of proprietary hardware and a proprietary platform, even with the Switch 2 being able to basically play, PS4 generation games, ostensibly. But, Nintendo is still pretty much dominating in the hardware space, off of PC. The question now is, if there's going to be any competitors coming
Mm, for what?
in. Just for hardware, like whether it's handheld hardware or even console hardware at this point.
Oh, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I have a feeling that you have something up, Vic. You want to see show?
Oh, it was just the breakdown of the Switch Online. I was just opening my stream stuff back up.
Yeah, like I don't know if hardware isn't where the money is at, because we all know that historically these companies have taken a loss to sell games on their platform, and it's probably because if you want to buy games on their console, you got to go to their store and they get take a cut for each game, right? So which is the beginning of the journey, I guess. But I think this is my only commentary on this is that this is why we have stop killing games, because like if all our games are going to be on subscription and all these platforms, we won't really be owning anything. We'll just be having access to play it, which in some terms, like, yeah, it's less space, less clutter, right? But like when you pay for something, do you really own it? But in reality, you just have a license to play it. So that changes our mentality when we're in terms of ownership, and also like, you know, playing games in general. Like, would I want to spend money on video games when if I don't really own the thing and I just only have the access to play the game, right? Because like physical copies, like old school retro games, you own it. That's about it. But now it's totally different with all this live service stuff. So I don't know. I think it would deter some future gamers or people that want to get into the hobby, maybe. But we also live in a generation where there's so many options that you can play a game on anything. So pick one, right?
Mhm. Well, that's fair.
I think, just so we don't spend too much time on this, there's the big elephant in the room that is, it's cost effective to have a subscription service, to have a variety of titles. It's how people are choosing to spend their time and how upset they want to get if they're only focusing on one game and it's taking all the time and they're like, why am I paying all this money for this one title? If you're trying to try a bunch of different ones or to try a game day one and you want to pay $60, that is our demo, essentially. You pay your subscription fee and you can just install this game and play it. The Xbox One, like when they started doing day one releases now into the Series X, that was what made Game Pass so attractive to me. I'm paying, $14.99 a month, but I'm playing a $60, $70 game day one. I get what I want out of it. I can uninstall it, check out a different game. Like, it was worth it for that. So I can see why subscriptions became a thing. there's a big discussion going on right now about how profitable that actually is for people, especially with some of these smaller teams, like how much money they're getting from Microsoft as part of the deal to put it on Xbox Live, on Game Pass. So it's pretty nuanced when it comes to like that side of it. But yeah, man, it's tough to say. I could see an all subscription future coming. I don't know whether or not I want it. And again, you can choose to, buy with your wallet. What do you want to do? It's just I really don't want to continue to have to pay a subscription fee, then buy a game or get a game that is then a games as a service where I have to then buy, passes to actually enjoy the content. Like Destiny tying dungeons to just having the seasons like battle pass. Like that
Whoa,
sucks.
man,
That sucks. And if there's more of that in the future, that will get a lot more pushback, I feel like. Unless, again, worst enemy, it continues to be sold and it continues to be bought by gamers. And then it's like, we can't really complain. If it's a proven thing, everyone's doing it, everyone's making money, they're going to continue to do that.
right. Yeah. What do you guys got? What do you guys want to take the next point we got listed here? 'Cause we still got a couple that we need to take care of.
We can burn through this real quick so we don't run out of time to get to the rest of the stuff. If you want, I can hop in real quick.
Yeah.
Next little bit of news that we have here is a little more unveiling of information about The Witcher 4. We now know that CD Projekt Red has confirmed it is in full development, the next Witcher, Witcher 4, starring Ciri, and it will be a new trilogy powered by the Unreal 5 engine. This will have a fresh region. It'll be very lore-rich. PC Gamer was talking about this. The big talking points that we want to talk about are this is confirmed now as the start of a brand new trilogy, with Ciri as the main protagonist, and it's set after the events in Witcher 3. Being built in Unreal Engine 5, I know there's a lot of discourse about that right now, but CD Projekt seems like one of those teams that will put in the time and effort to get to know that system and get the game out so it won't be like a unmitigated disaster like some games we've seen lately coming out. So great next-gen visuals, good dynamic environments, and in the hands of a team that seems to be doing all the right things right now, especially after they've fixed up what happened with Cyberpunk. So with CD Projekt Red, that does promise a stronger narrative focus and fewer kind of like bloat quests. Remember the side quests in Witcher 3 were some of the best in the industry. You actually had a reason to do those. There was great stories with all of them and never felt like just a fetch quest, even when you were essentially just growing and grabbing, like 5 pelts or whatever, but you'd run into all this lore along the way. So I guess a little discussion we want to say with this is, does CDPR regain gamer trust after Cyberpunk's rocky launch with this game coming out?
I don't know. Let me look at their stock.
Yeah, let's check the stock. And while he's doing this, Ace, what do you feel about with making the move to Ciri? They've made a lot of discussion about this. Chat, feel free to chime in as well. I know everyone's got their opinions, but Ciri's a great character, and CDPR knows how to write stories.
Yeah, I haven't really followed the Witcher games. I followed them enough to have a bit of an understanding as far as how The Witcher 3 ended. So them actually switching over to Ciri for the next trilogy, I think it's a smart play because it helps actually advance the story, and it's a great opportunity to give fans of the series more of what they want. The question, I think, really is going to be one of those things where only time will tell. It's just if they haven't already planned everything out as far as like the basic story beats for what's going on with Ciri and what's going on with her in this new region, how long they're going to be able to stick with it. Because it's like you continue an established franchise, but you're switching to a new character, even one as beloved as Ciri in the context of The Witcher. All I can really think back to at this point is Street Fighter. In 3, they tried to go with Alex, right? But in 3, they tried to go with Alex as the new protag. In 5, they tried to go with Rashid. In 6, they tried to go with Luke. But there's still just that gravitation. There's still that gravitation with players and fans. wanting to see more evolutions of their classic favorites like Ryu, Ken, Guile. And yeah, with 4 was Ava. So it's kind of that whole thing of, are people going to get that sort of satisfaction as far as closure with Geralt? Even
okay. So
with how
finish your point. I've got thoughts.
He's got thoughts.
Go ahead.
Unless I derailed you, and I'm so sorry.
No,
So just to preface this, Witcher 3 I thought was a fantastic game. I played a little bit of it. I know why people love it. Being tied into the industry, you get to see a lot of this talk about it, and I've played the DLCs. I did not finish that game. The combat in it was way too slow for me. I got frustrated. I got bored. I couldn't finish it. I still think it's a fantastic game. The difference between what you just described and what we're getting with Ciri going into the next Witcher game is you don't have the benefit of having 3 other games that circles around the lore, building up the world already, and the Ciri character in the previous title before you jump into a brand new trilogy that then focuses on her character. And those Street Fighter examples, those are just new characters introduced and they try to do some story, right? This is, you have her from very young. You get to see her evolution as she's growing up, as she decides to become a Witcher, as Geralt tries to tell her not to become a Witcher and then starts being a mentor to her. Like, you get to see all of this, and now we get to see her story. I think it's a really good move because now you've already baked in all of this stuff for fans, and people who are now jumping in will still get to experience her in a new era with her new story.
So you've got that. You've got that continuation. You've got that follow through with the character.
Right. So it's not having so much a new protagonist. It's just shifting the focus of the story. This character's already established. So to what Andre's saying in chat, it's not really that different. If there's a company that can pull it off that already has this kind of lore baked in, this is the team for it, and this is the story for it. If you've ever read the novels too, yeah, it's focused on Geralt, but you have all these characters, right? And you have their stories. So I think it could be really interesting. That being said, there's still always the chance to fumble, right? If the story overall isn't good, if it isn't engaging, it doesn't matter who the protagonist is. There's even that much more weight tied. Hi, honey. There's even that much more weight tied to Geralt himself being the protagonist again. Can you imagine if that game isn't good and it destroys all the faith that they have to do anything? Because where are they going to pivot from there? They can't pivot back to Geralt. And he's still going to be a part of the story in a way, right? Nothing else has been confirmed, so we can't really say what or will or won't happen. But I think on the base, I think it was a smart move. It was the time to do it with them moving over to a new engine, starting up a new trilogy and a new generation. That's what I think.
Okay. And that right there actually puts to rest my main concern as far as
right. And again, that's just my take. I think that is the decision behind it, at least in my experience. But again, if it falls flat on the way out the door like Cyberpunk did, and they can't bring it back like they did with 2077, then there's not going to be a trilogy. So we'll see. All right. Good discussion about that. James, did you end up being able to check the check the stock on that? Do you think people have lost faith?
Actually, the way the stock, we call this the current course, the way stock is operating. So in 2020 was when I think they announced Cyberpunk, right? Is that right? The timeline? Or released? What was the release date in Cyberpunk?
Man, Jagos, I don't think this is their panic button either. I just don't. It was time for a transition. That's why I was in development for so long. This is not a seismic shift. It's not. It's a continuation of the story, just shifting focus. Panic button would be bringing back Geralt and not doing anything else, because that story has kind of run its course.
So the reason why I'm saying this is because in 2021, their stock peaked at $31, which is the highest record highest. In mid 2022, their stock dipped to the lowest about $4.90. Okay, so that's I guess when they were still going through the Cyberpunk stuff, right?
Yeah, so the game released the end, so it was December 10th, 2020. So the
Okay.
stock price would have been 2021.
Yes, it crashed on literally December 4 was $31. On December 11th, it was 22 or $40 on December 4th. So 31 December 4th and immediately $22 on December 11th on recorded date. So since they hit the lowest bottom of their stock at $4.19 in mid 2022, but ever since then, I think that's when we started seeing more Witcher 4 stuff come out, and then like Liberty City and all this stuff. They're just gaining the trust, fixing the game. It's been on a constant increase, slowly but surely. For example, for the whole year 2024 till 2025, the stock rose about $5 from $7 to 11, which is pretty good. And now we're at 17. So we're slowly going back to the original stable price for CD Projekt Red, and they have a really weird stock ticker. I think they're only available in Poland. We can't actually buy CD Projekt Red stock in the US.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that in the way that the dev studio is set up in their home country.
Yeah. But this is a good sign of confidence in the development team. Like even investors are like, okay, guys, we believe in you. Just prove it. Keep going. Right. And sooner or later, they'll hit back in that high $30 mark, which doubling to 17 for as of today. As far as
how much that will fluctuate. Like, did I don't remember when Edge Runners came out, but that reignited interest in the game again for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that did again shortly after that.
Yeah, and then there's a relatively pretty big jump from beginning of January to 9 months later. Like January, it was like $10 or $11 a stock. Now we're back to 17. So it's a generally steady increase. It's never it's never always increasing, but it's always going up for it falls. That's what's important. And so with that trend, that's the word I was looking for. I believe once Witcher 4 comes out, there's like people get their hands on it and it's good. I do believe that the stock itself can reach about 26 to mid 20s, probably like 25, around there. And that is a good sign of them like holding ground on like what kind of company we are. So I think I'm pretty confident they'll make it back up 100%.
I mean, to be honest, like just looking at the gameplay trailer too, it's not deviating from what made the game great. It's just you have Ciri there, so it's going to really, really come down to the story and how they write it.
Yeah,
like looking at this, it is a UE5 update to Witcher. This happens to be so,
I mean, let's be real. Like, people are going to play Witcher 4. One, if you're a fan of the Witcher series, you're going to play it 100%, right? If you're like me, I've never played it, like Mass Effect, you're going to be curious on the look of the game and how the way the game feels, right? So that's where I'm at. Like, I'm curious how the game feels, and story not so much. I kind of know a little bit, right? But the fact that I don't know the story helps me want to play the game more. It has to look cool, and this looks cool.
Yeah, and again, this is as long as it launches in this kind of condition, right, too.
Right.
Everything we've seen with all these dev studios and Unreal 5, you have to have a team that really knows how to use the engine efficiently, and that's been the problem. That's why so many games come out lately have been absolutely crapped on, and it has caused people to be super jaded about Unreal 5. Unreal 5 is just a tool. I know we've said that before on the podcast, but it's just a tool.
Mm-hmm.
The people in charge of that tool and what they're shaping are really going to determine what you're getting out of that. And if they're not spending that time to go into this kind of depth and really get to learn the engine and use it efficiently, it's going to be crap when it comes out.
Yeah, it's really going to be on the talent of the team to get the juices out of this tool set, right? Like the good tidbits of it. Kind of like I said, Final Fantasy 12 came on the latter end of the PS2 era. That's why they were able to make that game look awesome. But if you think about the games that came out on launch, like Dynasty Warriors 2, it did not look awesome because it just had come out. So, I mean, that's how I look at it. It's like you have tenure and learning the system more. And this is a whole new engine. Of course, they're going to be learning this process while making a new game. That's stressful enough as it is. But a new platform, a new engine, bro, I can only imagine how daring they are. So,
And Jagos, to your point as well, that was issues with the engine itself. They said multiple times it was incompatible. The game that they were building, Cyberpunk, was incompatible with how dense and how vertical that game was. So it lacked a lot of features that a lot of updated engines nowadays and even around that time had. They needed an Unreal 5 to have that, and they didn't. So that was a pure limitation of the Red engine itself. Talent can only do so much. Again, it's the tool you have in your hands.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Final, like Japanese developers are really guilty of this. They want to make their own engine and make their games on it so the industry can use it, but then nobody cares about their engine, so they're the only ones that use it.
Oh my god, dude. Think about Frostbite. Remember when Mass Effect Andromeda came out? Frostbite was not built for RPGs.
Yeah.
Very beautiful game for action, and that's why Andromeda's action was really good, and it looked pretty. But that team had to build their own tool sets in that game to make it like work as an RPG, and that's why that one failed so much. Limitations of it, having to build their own thing, and then not having the support of the main studio that utilizes it and knows it to really in-depth go into it. A little bit of support, sure, but not as much as they needed to get that out and then being pushed forward on a release schedule. So again, tons of nuance in there. There's a lot of discussion around it. Really happy to hear people in chat talking about it. Don't want to take too much time, so just going to jump to the last little bit of news. We were talking a little bit earlier about how fall 2025 is looking ridiculous. Game releases are looking rich and diverse. We got a lot that we wanted to talk about. We saw a lot of really good stuff at Gamescom that gets us excited for the future. But hey, autumn is packed with a variety. We're talking Silent Hill F to Pokemon Legends Z-Day to Ghost of Yotei, Battlefield 6, like lots of stuff. Hey, even Once Upon a Katamari. We're going to have a little bit of everything. Something for every gamer, really. So again, talking points, Silent Hill F, Pokemon Legends, Ghost of Yotei will be dominating headlines. Those are kind of the big ones. I'm definitely going for Ghost of Yotei myself of the three. If I have to choose, like, I don't have a ton of money, I'm going to go there first because I love Tsushima so much. Battlefield 6 beta blowing up. It's passing concurrent scores. So we know when 6 comes out, it's going to be a huge game. Let's see what the map variety does for that and if people really jump on. Because there's been a lot of discourse about some of the maps. Some people don't like it as much, but we'll see, right? Plenty of content going to be coming out for that. And there won't be any crazy skins. They've already said we're not getting Nicki Minaj. Sorry to ruin that for you, Ace. You can't hop on and do that in Battlefield 6. Indies like Once Upon a Katamari will bring some creative energy this season. But really, this fall is kind of shaping up to rival 2017 as one of gaming's biggest years. So with so many huge releases packed together, which one actually wins our time and our wallets this time around? What do you guys think?
For me, again, like as far as some of the biggest fall releases that I've been keeping an eye on, like this week, my wallet is pretty much already spoken for with David X Machina Titanic Scion. But I mean, hell, also this week, speaking of betas, the beta for beta access codes for Marvel Tokon Fighting Spirits are going out too.
Good to know. Pro tip here from our man Ace.
So yeah, we're going to be seeing developers unleash some serious firepower over the next few weeks at the very least.
Very true. How about you, James? What do you think?
I mean, Ghost of Yotei, I'm interested in. Silent Hill, I think it's cool. I'm not a big Silent Hill guy. I do like the fact that Battlefield 6 is not trying to be like, well, I mean, Battlefield and Call of Duty have always been neck to neck, trying to like which one's cooler, right? But I love the idea that they're going more old school and they're going their own path and they're confident with it. I always love that instead of like trying to copy Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty try to copy Fortnite, right? I started to be like, oh, what is this? It's Fortnite. Battlefield is staying Battlefield on brand. I love that. I played the beta, had a good time with it, and I want to play more. It felt like a heavier game. You know what I'm saying? Like the guns had weight. Like you weren't just jumping around, rabbit hopping, shooting guys, right? Dosiota, I'm excited because I played Tsushima last year and I loved it. But the game I'm really looking forward to this year, Ninja Gaiden 4. Just because Ninja Gaiden 4, one that we got a taste of the game of Ragebound, where like it's been a while since we played Ninja Gaiden, and it was really cool to see more of like the old story and like the OG style gameplay, but like in modern games. But with the Ninja Gaiden Black 2 had come out, and people got excited for that. They were like, "Bro, this is like a hyper like action Dark Souls game," and I'm like, "Oh, that's ridiculous," because like came out before Dark Souls. But to have another platinum game on the board mixed with the crazy antics of Ninja Gaiden, to me, I feel like this is not my dream game, but like we're talking about like this is their destiny to make this kind of like platinum design to make a Ninja Gaiden. I'm actually surprised this doesn't have a demo because I would have been on it immediately.
Right, like every Ninja game so far that we've seen has had a demo.
right. And like I said, this is like the year of the ninja, right? All these ninja games coming out. So I would not be surprised after Delta's release that Konami slides us one and says, "Here's your revengeance."
Oh,
I would be like, "Oh my god, Phantom Blade Zero, what's that?"
Don't play with my emotions like that.
But like that is a game that I don't even want a remake of the game. I just want it like running on modern consoles, no DRM, like 60 frames a second, right? Complete game. I just want to play it again. That's how great that game. It just feels good to play, and I think this is why I'm excited for Ninja Gaiden 4. I that's crazy wall jumping, but like I want to play an action game that just feels good to be playing. And in this game, it just looks like it feels good to hit stuff with it, and that's kind of where I'm.
Yeah, I don't have the sound turned on, but just like watching the camera shake when you're hitting and some of the harder attacks, like visually, you can definitely tell like it has weight behind the attack, so that's really cool. And those like that's like
so
cinematic kills,
satisfying.
Super satisfying. Not so satisfying. A little bit of news I want to tack on here in the end, just because it was kind of breaking this last day. So we've talked a little bit about Perfect Dark being canceled, right? Well, Bloomberg did come out with an article explaining that Crystal Dynamics was forced to cut staff and abandon the game Perfect Dark after failing to find new funding partners following the game's cancellation in July. Apparently, there was a potential deal with Take-Two to purchase the game from Microsoft and fund it and publish it. But that collapsed due to disagreements over long-term ownership of the Perfect Dark franchise. So Crystal Dynamics laid off an unspecified number of staff this last week, although the company didn't explain why after those negotiations with multiple parties, including Take-Two. They all ended up as unsuccessful, so Perfect Dark ended up dying. So what do you two make of that little bit of information? It sucks, again, Crystal Dynamics losing that kind of talent, but it sounds like Take-Two was in the running. It's just they couldn't agree on the future of the Perfect Dark franchise and who would be in charge.
Man,
that's Microsoft's fault, 100%. This is speculation, but I just have this feeling that like they wanted too much for it. For what it was, and I think 2K went in there. I'm just gonna say let's just make this game, let's make it happen. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will love it, but then they were like, no, this is a Microsoft only IP. We gotta have there was probably like just some stuff that were like, well, it's not worth all this BS.
And also after watching the most recent Legendary Drops video where he talked about, where he basically put forth an autopsy of Bungie and their dealings with Microsoft and everything that happened with Destiny. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like that. What happened with Perfect Dark was definitely a Microsoft problem.
I get it. They're protective with their own IPs. It is their IP. That's cool. I would be too if somebody was like, "Hey, we don't have the budget to make the next Halo game." For some reason, and then 2K goes, "We'll make it for you." And then they go, "Well, okay, you can make it for us, but here's some things you gotta do for us." And then 2K be like, "Well, I'm trying to do you a favor here, dog." But you can't be asking me too much. So I get it, like how that would play out, like mentally in my brain. Of course, that's just me.
Right. like this article was kind of alluding to, it sounds like the biggest disagreement came down to just who would be in charge of the ownership and who would have the ownership of the Perfect Dark franchise. So it sounds, at least according to this, it sounds like Take-Two was down to fund and publish it. So the cost wasn't too much, but finding out who the ownership of the franchise would be, that was the issue. Like you said, Microsoft is going to be incredibly protective of those IPs that they got, except for all the ones they've canceled, right? It's just like,
funny part.
No, it's going in the vault. You can't have it.
Yeah, literally, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead with that thought.
I was just thinking like Microsoft's playing this off like some like child that's like, it's either my way or the highway, but they're literally going, we need help getting this game made, and these guys raise their hands and go, okay, cool, we'll help you out. Of course, what's in it for us? And Microsoft goes, well, no, actually, we gotta be in control of this deal. And you're like, but you're the one in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and even if Take-Two did fund this and then ultimately publish it and took all that off Microsoft's plate, didn't even have Microsoft like attached to any of it, because essentially the team would be doing the work and Crystal Dynamics would be doing the work. Take-Two would have the ownership of that. The issue would just be the franchise. So if this did take off, any kind of future stuff or crossover stuff with it, Microsoft would want to hold on to that, and that's really what it's coming down to, at least from what I'm reading here. So,
and honestly, I feel like they should, because like I can't think of Perfect Dark being a 2K game. Like I think of it as a Microsoft Rare IP, right? And they own Rare, so I guess that's probably why they had the cards to argue about that.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what all the finer details were to the deal and what that kind of came down to. But yeah, interesting discussion to have. Hearts go out to all the people that lost their jobs over this, and whatever reason they didn't want to continue with the Perfect Dark franchise after what we saw. But again, we've talked about it. It sounds like the demo that we saw was not close to where the actual game actually was, and that wasn't very real. So it could have been way back. But.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but that I think leads pretty well into what we're going to talk about last year. Learning what we're talking about here last.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
The final boss.
I was just watching this, and I was like, there hasn't been a game that I watched that made me question my gaming skills. This game is making me question my gaming skills. Like I was just watching them fight that like big guy, and like a second in my brain was like, am I good enough to play this game? Like, I don't know why I thought that, but like, it just looked really difficult. So.
Hey man, Ninja Gaiden's the kind of game that would really make you question that stuff.
It is.
Remember all those like gaming demos we see at like events like Gamescom and E3, where like someone's taking us through the game demo. It's like the slow pan to things, it's looking around the world, or the really like kind of fake like team chatter. You're just like, this is not how we play. This is the complete opposite, where you're just like, I am not as good as this person.
No, I'm the same way, and the reason why I think I was thinking of that, I remember this one interview with Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox, and they were asking, I think it was Itagaki, right, the guy that made Ninja Gaiden. They were saying how many people have actually beaten Ninja Gaiden on Ninja Master Mode, which is the highest difficulty. And the interviewee said, like, I think there was only 2 on the staff that beat the game. I was like, bro, you guys made this game. How y'all can't beat it? But that's just crazy. Like mentally, they can't beat it. How can I beat it? I was like, oh my God. Anyway, that is our quick bites. That was awesome.
Perfect.
All right, so we're nearing down to the end here, to our last little portion, and I know, chat, you guys are excited to fight the final boss as we respawn and retry. I always forget to update this caption, and I'm mad at myself for not doing that. Let me respond. Copy it real quick. Who's on low on health? I am low on health. There you go. Respawn and retry. Now, if it's your first time here, of course, this is the section where we call the final boss. And welcome. This is where we take the lessons we learn from gaming and apply them to the ultimate arena, life itself. Yeah, I just got real serious. Tonight's topic, respawn and retry. Because sometimes the difference between victory and defeat isn't skill, luck, or even gear. It's persistence. Now, if you've played games like Mario Brothers, or Dark Souls, that comes up a lot, or actually I would say Contra. These are even, I would say, the retro games that I've played in the past have been the most respawn and retry again. You only get a limited amount of continues, right? So what you got to do, you got to remember all the patterns where the bosses show up, their fight patterns, where the NPCs spawn, right? Stuff like that, and then you will remember where everything is, and you can avoid them and re-strategize and regroup. So now I know Nick over here is a WoW player, and of course, in the past, and I've played in WoW myself, and and, I wasn't a big raider, but when we raided, if something were to go wrong, everything just goes wrong. Start back, do it again. Usually, your raid leader talks
Wipe
to
it
you,
up.
says, "Yep," or like, "Okay, what happened there? What did you not? What no? What went wrong? Did you pull the wrong guy? Remember, it's been a long time, but I don't know what the verbiage is. It's usually a pep talk on what to do better next time.
Wipe it up. What the fuck were you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
You're
All right,
getting in the wrong
who pulled the
place.
extra mob? Too early, right? Or if you just go into a what do you call this? For me, I would say my respawn retry moment was for Sekiro. Now, Sekiro is of course the modern day Tenchu game, but the boss fights have always been this like clash of wits and memorization of pattern, and also what do you call this? And cues, right? Because there's certain things that the boss does, you're like, oh, he's gonna set up this move, and I got to do this, right? Or how many times he's gonna do this? He's gonna do this now. I remember, and I'm not sure if I told you this like when I was doing it, but I played Sekiro on the last boss, the real last boss. It took me, I think I counted 13 hours to beat this guy, and I took an hour break in between. This was in a weekend, and I tried to do this without looking up a strategy on an internet. Right? I was like, I'm gonna memorize this pattern. I'm gonna do like the best attack I can, repeat it, and then once I beat him the first 8 hours, he had a second phase I didn't know. So guess what? I start over, relearn that guy's phase. But man, how even though it was frustrating, it felt good to finally defeat him because I finally learned it. I know all your moves now. So life works kind of the same way. You get setbacks, you have failures, rejections aren't game overs, they're just checkpoints. That's why I took a break. Went to go get some lunch, came back, fresh set of mind. I was like, all right, I remember what he did here. All right, let's look up some new let's pay attention to some of the new stuff that I'm not seeing here. What can I do? Because every time you fall, you gain experience points you didn't have before, kind of just like in life. And then the next time you face that same boss, you're better equipped to win. It's that little phrase that you see in Mortal Kombat in the arcade, right? There's no knowledge without power, right? And then with power, knowledge is power. Also, it's something you see. You guys remember that in the arcade? Knowledge is power in the MK arcade machines. I remember always seeing that as a kid. I was like, that's weird. And then you start realizing in a fighting game that you can, if you can telegraph by knowing the other opponent's moves, you can defeat them a lot quicker and easier. So that's exactly what they were giving away. Speaking of which, I would say, for this, our motivational takeaway for tonight, this is what I've got to say about that. Failure, it doesn't make you weaker. Quitting does. The difference between the gamer who beats the boss and the one who gives up is the one thing. He kept pressing start over again. Just keep crushing it. Do something new, right? But the idea of getting back up and doing it again, that's definitely the lesson for you tonight. Every death teaches you something. Every reset brings you closer to mastery. Even retry shapes your personal skill tree. I think it is in the Japanese culture where they actually are big on mastery through repetition. This is why they practice the same strike over and over and over again, right? And they make tea slowly, but always the same way. But when you drink the tea, it always tastes delicious because they do it through repetition, through mastery, or mastery through repetition, doing it over and over again till you get it perfect, right? Now, I can see where a lot of people would struggle with this because, repetition sometimes is not romantic. It's not entertaining. But just know through the pain, it's going to be worth going through it, right? So here's tonight's question, or your thought for tonight. Tonight's final boss challenge. Chat, think about a time in your life when you respawned. Maybe you failed, maybe you struggled, but you came back stronger. What did you learn from the retry? Okay. And what did you do better? And how can you share that knowledge with other people so when they experience that, you can help them out a little bit more, so you don't have to go through it, or they don't have to go through the same issues that you did. So here's the truth: the boss doesn't get smaller, but you get stronger. So whatever you fight you're in now, keep respawning, keep retrying. The victory screen is closer than you think. So real quick, I'm in sales, and sales is kind of like same thing. You say the same stuff, the script over and over again, right? Some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. But when usually afterwards, you kind of self-reflect and go, what could I have said during this moment to make it better? What could I have suggested to make this better? It's always one of those things where you catch yourself going, oh, I could have done that better. And that's why you need that next opportunity to practice that, right? So just keep retrying, keep experimenting. No matter how many times you try, don't worry about failing. Just get back up, do it again. That's what really matters. Okay. How about you guys? Any moments in life where you guys respawn and retried? Anything stand out?
Well, for me, I would definitely say, kind of like with Andre. It's for me, it's by and large been certain games where had you know I've had issues. It felt like I was just hitting my head against the wall constantly. But then I stopped, took a step back for a little bit, just so that I didn't get burned out. And the next time I come back to it, I'm able to do so from a different perspective, from a different viewpoint. See certain things that I could, certain things that I could have tidied up, certain things I could have cleaned up during my previous attempts, and it winds up working out in the end. That's how I went from on my first try, my first time playing through Hades, I got my first clear after 32 attempts. I went from that to restarting the game and literally cutting that in over half in my first clear of 14.
Yeah, because you got the knowledge of like, this is what I do here. This is my move set, right? And you optimize yourself as you play it again.
It takes me back to probably one of my favorite lines in the game, period. The very last line in BoJack Horseman. BoJack sees the guy who's been jogging every single day, and he's having issues just staying on his feet. He sees the guy jog past him. They kind of stop, talk to each other for a little bit, and BoJack just asks him a simple question: does it get any easier? And the answer was perfect, because it really encapsulates not just everything that BoJack went through over the course of the series, but it encapsulates life itself. No, it doesn't get easier. You just get better.
That's true. I like that. I like that because like it also holds you accountable for yourself, and it actually gives you more credit for yourself, right? The world doesn't adjust to you; you adjust to the world, and by doing that, you're actually seeing yourself grow and get right. So that's good. I like that. How about you, Nick?
Respawn. I have said before, I think on this podcast, that originally I got expelled from college. I spent too much time playing Counter-Strike in my room instead of going to class. I was young. I was right out of high school. I didn't really know much of the world, and I just let it slip through my fingers. And it's something that kind of sat wrong inside me for a long time. It's something that kind of bothered me, right? I had an opportunity later on, like years later. So that was 2005-ish when I dropped out. When 2012 rolled back around, I lost my job at GameStop, and I found out I had a chance to go back to school under a Fresh Start program, which zeroed out my GPA, but I had to prove I was a good student again. So I went back to Whatcom Community College for a couple quarters to prove that I could be a student again later on in life. ended up doing well, ended up going back to school, and I ended up graduating. And I was lucky enough to be selected for my commencement speaker role. So I got to speak as the student speaker for my graduating class. So it was something where it took me years to realize what my worth was, what I was able to do, understand what was more important in my life, and then being able to go back and refocus on something that I had failed at before and had kind of hung over my head, and really affected my self-esteem.
Yeah, that sounds like you brought it back. Like,
Yeah, I had to. That being said, I mean, you're always going to stumble. I mean, since then, it's not exactly like the degree I got and everything panned out for what my intentions were. And, I've lost my job multiple times now. I've had to find other work multiple times. You've been there talking to me about that yourself, which I appreciate. So there's always going to be stumbling blocks. There's always going to be things I run up against. But now I've learned how to move on from failure or perceived failure.
I feel you. I might have told this story before, but just in case the chat has never heard it. I think it was like 05, like almost the same time as you. I was actually couch surfing in Chicago. I did not have my own place. I slept in my buddy's basement. Had some good memories there, of course. We played a lot of Halo 2, right? But eventually, I you kind of wake up and go, I don't want to be living in my buddy's basement forever. Like, he's doing me a favor, right? I need a plan. And that's where I felt like my respawn had started. That moment where I was laying on his futon and saying, I want to be on this couch for the rest of my life. I was watching Lord of War on the movie Lord of War, Nicolas Cage, right? And I said, this guy's impressive. This character that I'm watching, like, he knows his stuff. And and I was very impressed with his like ability to sell, his ability to kind of like negotiate and kind of just start a network of resources for him to be able to expand his business. And I was like, I kind of like that. I want to go to school for something similar. And I just want to do something. I just don't want to be on this couch all day. I don't want to be homeless either. So that's when I decided to bite the bullet, call my mom, and she lived in Birch Bay. And I said, hey, Mom, can I stay with you for a while? I'm going to go to school. I got the loan, right? I'm just going to have to stay with you for a while until I get my own place. I'll look for a job. So I did A, B, C, D. Wrote on a piece of paper, did all the thing, got A, B, C down, got applied for college, got the grants, right? Got all the scholarships, whatever that I could. Matter of fact, to this day, I'm debt free from college. Thank you. I appreciate that. For anybody that helped out and, all the grants and support that I got. Graduated from college, got my own place, bought, now I have a brand new car. Like, so, it's really, I can look at myself and be like, I went on this journey and, and even through that journey, I met Nick, right? And we had the journey together, and eventually split our ways too. Right. And then now we're back in a certain way. So we're always constantly, dying, restarting, respawning, retrying in different levels of life. So just don't feel today if you're just like, I feel like I'm stagnant, right? Just know that like sometimes it's all about time. It's all about moments. Maybe it's not your moment right now. Just make sure like when that opportunity falls in front of you that you take it, even though you don't feel you deserve it, or you feel that you'd fail, just take it anyway, because you never know when you're going to get that other next opportunity again, right? So that's part of it, guys. And just make sure you just keep trying, right? Because as Shah Khan would say, it would make you very much so.
Excellent.
Yeah, but yeah,
that makes sense.
All right, our video game friends all agree. They've all given us our motivational statements. But yeah, before we close it up for tonight, you guys got any closing statements or anything else? Check. Ooh, job hunting mindset. Love it.
Nope, not for me. Right now, I'm just concerned about the baby in the other room.
Oh, okay. That's your mindset right now, 100% for sure.
Feel that.
Dad mode, man.
Yeah. What about you, Ace?
Yeah, on my end, I'm still trying to hustle so that way I can get that copy of David X Machina on release. Hopefully, I'll have it in time so that way I can stream it for you guys later this week.
When does it come out? Is it already out?
It comes out on the 5th, so we're going to see this Friday.
Gotcha. Cool.
But
Yeah. Go ahead.
other than that, I've got some other new stuff on the channel that I'm looking forward to playing and trying out, and just seeing how things shake out. It's gonna be a fun month. It's gonna be a fun fourth quarter for 2025, and I'm looking forward to seeing all y'all back here in class, and of course, back at Ace's place.
Back in the neighborhood, baby. That's where the Gaming Academy is stood, by in the corner of the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
And I personally have taken some of my extra time and I sifted through my Magic collection, right? Sorry. And I've actually started making decks to sell on eBay, right? I've been taking a lot of time and making these pre-made decks of all the excess cards that I have. And for the month of August, I've actually sold over $200 worth of product that I already had, right, on eBay. So you are now in this certain era of time where you can make your money and just be creative with it, with what you got, right? Whether and I'll tell you before I just go on this rant, I'll tell you what the main two key points are. You either make money by a service, using your time giving people a service, right? It's maybe some consultation, right? So 2 hours of your time, or a product. Those are the two things that you can really focus on if you want to start your own business in some way or point. Your mind, your ability to tell other people how to do things in a professional way, or giving them a product that they can buy so they can have, right? I chose the product because I have of it. So, and with the advent or the invent of AI and ChatGPT and Gemini, your imagination can become a reality if you just ask it a simple question: how can I make a business with X? And you'd be surprised what it tells you, and you could be doing things you enjoy while making money at the same time. But that's my recommendation for the night. That's your homework. If there's something that you feel that you want to kind of explore more into detail, take that little message, take it to ChatGPT and just ask. And maybe you'll be like, wow, I never thought about that. I'll try that. That's part of retrying and failing. I'm trying this right now, and if I fail, I'll retry again with something else. So that's all part of the learning process. Okay. And with that said, that is a wrap for Gaming Academy Class 47. 3 more to go for Class 50. Tonight, we revisited the legends that shaped gaming history, unpacked some of the hottest stories from Gamescom and beyond, and powered up our gamer quotient with the latest updates. But if there's one thing to take with you tonight, guys, it's this, okay? Like I said, respawn and retry. Whether you're dodging bullets in Metal Gear Solid, grinding XP in Hollow Knight, Silksong, or just leveling up IRL, failure is not the end. It's just another checkpoint. So keep pressing start, keep taking a shot, and keep showing up for the next round, because the class isn't over until you decide to put down the controller. Until next time, students, stay sharp, stay curious, and as always, Ace?
Class dismissed.
Mission complete.
Nice. Oh, wrong one. I always press that wrong button. There you go.